Tune in to Mascott and Company, Mascott.
Mascott and Company.
Kind of thing, and I took that opportunity and ran with it and learnt as I went along. And the problems of the industry were just incredibly obvious. And so in order for me to continue, I couldn't move ahead with the standards that the industry were already using. I just couldn't do it. I had to raise the bar just for myself.
And you did for everybody. I actually wanted to get into the field that you are in. Mm-hmm. I worked with dental alginates and worked with gauze and learned how to do molds of people's faces sloppily. I learned to make copies with the same liquid rubber that condoms are made with, and learned to pigment it and go through the sort of very crude approach to getting the job done. Yeah. Now there are schools that will teach that. I could, if I wanted to learn that, I had to learn how to put on women's makeup first.
Yes. No, that's pretty illustrative of how crude the industry is. I mean, the industry, even in Hollywood, I mean, it started as a makeup world, and makeup artists and stuff like that would claim that they needed to tell me how to do my job. Well, by the time I came around, there's a very clear separation between the prosthetic world and the makeup world. Prosthetics demand sculpture and mold making and materials analysis, and that have nothing to do with makeup whatsoever. If a makeup artist was a sculptor of note, then that's fine.
Oh, it certainly helps in the final, in the finishing aspect, to know a little bit about makeup, possibly, or at least to how to follow a photograph.
Well, in my world, no. Not at all, because we don't use, and that's one of the things that got me in great trouble in Hollywood, is that I don't use any of the makeup logics, any of them. We don't hire makeup artists. In fact, a makeup artist, what they know is so dramatically different than how I approach and my studio approaches our work that they're just in the way. They know, just like anybody, if I'm only used to working on a Ford, and a Bentley comes in, I'm not really qualified to work on that Bentley. That's just all there is to it. And the same with the other way around. The guy with the Bentley, just because he runs worse Bentleys, doesn't necessarily mean he knows how to properly fix that Ford.
But your process is so well defined that you can have a skin surface texture, a deep tissue texture, and practically
it's a full system rather than the industry right now. They have. You use this for that, you use this for that, you use this for that. That was never very useful to me. What I always shot for was an entire system that I could simulate any kind of tissue quality I wanted. Anything from fat to a dead cell to whatever. So anything that my mind can think of in terms of texture and quality, I can create. And I can create it literally by one single additive. And that, I think, is pretty awesome. I mean, it took a very, very long time to get there, and we nearly abandoned it until we found the chemists at Polytech who literally, it literally became down to one word. Having a conversation with a chemist, an artist to a chemist, is a very difficult conversation because I'm speaking in terms of textural qualities and visual qualities and translucence. It feels like this and it acts like this and blah blah blah. And finally I came around to that word describing him, the word deaden. I need to deaden the material. Everything that you make, everything that they make is manufactured for industry.
It's too plastic.
It's synthetic. It doesn't look real. There's nothing synthetic about us. We're, grotesquely not synthetic.
Organic, that's right. We are purely organic.
And I used the word deadener, and the guy with a light bulb went off in his head right away. And he, within 2 or 3 days, he'd come back, and he had virtually solved a problem that existed since certainly the beginning of the film industry. And it was so bizarre that he'd solved it so quickly that we tested it for 2 or 3 years, looking for how this can't be the proper answer, and we never found the parameters to it. It just goes on and on and on.
So now you can really tell what your difference is. I watched a CSI episode where a woman jumped off a building and she landed on a vehicle, They picked up her leg, and it moved.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've never seen it, but I knew it when I saw what they did. It absolutely moved the way a dead body fallen off a building, crushed
You
to
can
pieces
do all
would
that
move.
stuff. You can do all that stuff now. Anybody can do it. Yeah.
Visceral.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the consequences is that I'm out of a job. Because when I joined the industry, I jumped into a hole that was empty. There was nobody working the way I worked. No one at all.
That's
and for the
exactly right.
first 15 years of my career, while building this technology, I'm the only person in the hole. Even in the way, and even all my work with Oliver Stone and stuff like that, just my approach to the artist and everything like that was dramatically different. But now that we've developed the technology and the technology's out there, that hole is just jam-packed full of people who all claim responsibility for creating the technology.
Well, yes, and you have actually you've earned several awards that you have not received.
That I've not received?
That's correct.
Yeah.
X-Men has certainly a certain acclamation that, and specifically for your work in that, those characters.
My rewards really, I mean, I've been really, really lucky, and I've worked in the A-list Hollywood films for many, many years. But my biggest reward is that I've got to work with some of the very best fine artists in the world. And because I allow them their full creativity, I don't limit them in anything. And that's much of what the technology is all about, is to allow the artist to be creative and not put materials limitations on them.
Well, even Mystique, the blue character on X-Men, your product did not have to be glued on to her.
No, it was completely, but yeah, we didn't have to use glue.
And there's an advantage to that.
The rest of the industry uses glue, and
right, and that's hard on the skin.
I never use glue. Yeah, it's very, very hard on the skin. I mean, people have complained, you have to. It's not the glue that is the restrictive thing on the skin, and my answer to is, well, cover your face in glue and talk to